Welcome to Shop Talk, presented by Show Chic, where they always put the rider in first place.
What an awesome turnout. Thank you all for coming. We know it's a very busy week, but we really appreciate you guys being here. We have a very special guest tonight who's going to speak to you about how to win, hopefully.
Now don't sue me if you don't.
And I will pass it over to Debbie McDonald.
Hi. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So, before I start, I'm just curious. I just want to randomly pick a few people in the audience, and I want you to give me an idea what you feel makes a winner. Okay. You. Yes.
Being an adult amateur temperament that makes it winner.
Okay. Yes, raise your hand up. Yep, you. Yep.
Confident.
I'm sorry?
Confident.
Good. Okay, anybody want to shout out some more? Yes.
Focus.
Yep.
Perseverance.
Yep.
Determination. Give 100% and then give 100% more.
So everything you guys have said is definitely, that's it. No. It's true. I think you have to all have different, not everybody's going to go and win a gold medal, right? So you have to kind of figure out what is success for you. I mean, a realistic goal for you, what is that? It could be an amateur, going to the national championships and maybe just placing. I mean, that might be something if you started late in life. You can be successful in just life itself. And I think you should never ever lose sight of that. We can be successful in life, and that is very important, because without that, we're never really content inside. And when I looked around and I thought about this tonight, I kept thinking, okay, well, myself. I'm going to take myself, for instance. I never really had any goals in my early life. That was just, I just wanted to be around horses. But then my life changed, and I said, okay, maybe I can make goals, even in my years that I ended up showing the dressage world. But that's a really important thing. Everybody needs to have goals. You can't just go out and aimlessly go for something you're not really sure you want to go for. Winning, just saying you want to win isn't enough. There's so much more to winning. There's going to be a lot of failures before there's a lot of success. And as fast as you climb up, as long as it takes you to climb up, it takes one day to fall down. Then you got to ask yourself, do I really have it in me? Am I really that fighter? Do I have the grit it's going to take to get me to that place when I fall? And sometimes you don't know till you hit it. My first time I hit it, I went to the World Cup in Sweden in '98, way before I should have been there. Didn't know any different. My goal was to finish, not last. And the first day during the Grand Prix, I finished last. And then I was of the mindset, okay, I just want to bury my head in the sand. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. I'm so ashamed. I'm embarrassed. My son, who was probably 10 years old, he played hockey. And he said, Mom, do you know what I do? I said, no, what do you do? When I play hockey and somebody knocks me on my ass, I get up and take them out. Imagine your kid telling you that at 10 years old. And I thought, okay, if my kid can tell me that, I better get my mind in the game here, So that was a life lesson for me, because I really thought that was a point when I said, do I have it? Do I have what it takes to have the grit to go on? And I made myself finish, and I was second to last when I left. So my goal was accomplished. I didn't finish dead last. By that time, you get a little hungrier for your next goal. And again, lots of failures before there's a lot of success. But it's truly a combination of just everything said, grit, and it takes a lot of grit, because there's a lot of people out there when you start getting in the game, when we're talking about the Olympic level, that really try to psych you out and take you out. I mean, they want to intimidate you. So you have to have this really tough skin, and you have to say, oh, good luck. You know, I mean, you can't let that get to you. A sacrifice is a huge part of this at any level, I think. We sacrifice staying away from our families. You know, your business suffers sometimes. That again, do you have it in you to let that go away to hope you can get it back? But there's no other way around it. That is a part of what we do. If we go to Europe and we go for 2 months, hopefully clients stay. A lot of times they don't. When you have really, really loyal clients, they stay. But then they say to themselves, hey, I want to ride. And they just go ahead and find another trainer and they move along. So you come home and now you have to build up your business again. And that's kind of not a real comforting place to be. And you know, you need to say, okay, now I start over again. But I'm going to tell you, if you have what it takes to be a winner, you do it. You do anything you can to survive. And you'll not let anybody's words take you down. And you have to love what you do, or that's not going to work either. Because without loving what you're trying to achieve at, it doesn't usually end up quitting. And that's what happens a lot. You know, some people say, okay, I want to go to the Olympics. And then they'll look at somebody else and say, oh, well, she's going to go. She had an owner that bought her a really expensive horse. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter. They still have to produce it. And it's the same kind of grit, whether you get a horse handed to you or you don't. It's the grit to not give up and just dig deep inside you and hope that things come your way. And even if you don't have that horse right now, and like I said, we're not talking all Olympic level here. We're talking life too. You just have to keep picking yourself up and moving on. Don't feel sorry for yourself. You're the only one that can change that. You are the one that has to be the person that decides, no, I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to get my ass in the game, excuse my language, and be as good as I can be, and you'd be surprised what happens. And by even having that attitude, you'd be surprised how many sponsorships can come out of that. That, but not cocky. There's a difference. You get cocky, you lose it. Nobody wants to deal with somebody that's cocky. They just don't. You have to be humble in this sport. And you have to, say hello to everybody. Have a nice day. Good morning. Those things go a long way. And I don't think that people pay enough attention to that. And that is a big part of being successful. And then again, I look at even some of the riders that I'm working with right now and going to Europe, watching them work with their horses. And they don't have a groom. Yeah, they have a groom at the horse shows, but they don't have a groom during the week or just in everyday life. They love to work with their horses. They make sure that they're taken care of and that they're iced and they're lasered and they're a magnetic blanket and poulticed and walked several times a day. If there's a place where laying over and they have grass paddocks, they go out in the grass paddocks. But they just basically, they're completely dedicated 100% to making sure that they know without that horse they can't achieve their goal as well. So you can't hand that necessarily off to somebody and say, get my horse ready, please. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That attitude doesn't go very far. People see it and they just get turned off really fast. And then if you're going to consider yourself an athlete, then you got to look like an athlete. And that means the dedication to get up and go to the gym and work out and get healthy. And that's a big, big part of the whole deal too. You just have to say, okay, you can't say, okay, you can be overweight, that's fine, but that's something everybody can pretty much control. And if you want to be an athlete, you need to look like an athlete. And that's not always easy to say, but it's the truth. You just have to, again, it's a dedication in every aspect of your life when you're talking about doing anything and having that. But like I said, basically have goal. You know, have a goal. Maybe you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, because not everything works out the way you kind of want it to. But again, I always used, you know, I was 50 at my first Olympic Games. So, you know, there's, you know, there really is no excuse for giving up in this sport, because anybody can possibly get there. And you just really, it's all about who you are in here. You know, really believing in yourself, and don't let anybody tell you differently, because we're all just as capable of getting there as the next person. So let me see if I have any other little secrets here. Oh yeah, the willingness to keep learning and educating yourself. There are people that kind of reach a certain level and feel that are trainers, that feel they don't need training anymore, that they're now training others, so they kind of stop their education. No, don't ever stop trying to learn. It doesn't matter. I mean, you just have to make yourself stay in the game. I mean, even if you've retired, even in my life, even though I'm retired now, I mean, I've gone to the USOC, one USOC coaching thing, and I just now applied for a very elite one, and I'm hoping I'll get in to the USOC. It's a coach, another coaching situation. So you have to kind of love and want to keep learning. You know, you shut off your mind and think you know everything, then again, you might as well quit, because it ain't going to happen. You have to stay in the game. I mean, as long as you want to be in it, you got to stay in it. And you can also be so supportive to someone else and change their lives. Like just being like seeing somebody that you know that has a lot of talent, that has this in their mind that they want to do this, and they get a little down, you need to walk over, kick them in the ass, and tell them to get in the game. Because you just can't, you just have to say that. You have to be tough love there, because you can't sugarcoat it. It's either it is or it isn't. It's a tough world out there. And it's not an easy game, but it's so well worth it for anybody that has any goal, whatever it may be. And another new goal for me is to be a fantastic grandma. And I'm going to make that happen. So, I mean, like I said, in life too, have goals. You know, there's no reason we can't all have goals, no matter what it is. And I just, you know, I feel very passionate about everything I've talked about, because I've seen it, I've lived it, I breathe it every day with all my riders, and I see what happens, and it can be quite magical. Anybody have any great questions for me? I said don't feel sorry for yourself, that's right. And it is true, you're going to fail a lot more in the beginning than you'll have success. And if you're lucky enough to have success really early, that doesn't mean necessarily it's going to stay that way. So again, this is where you shouldn't get too cocky and think you're at the top of the game because you had a good show. You have to keep getting the grit, and you know, I even take Laura in as an example. I mean, here's a girl who really came out of nowhere, and kind of a Cinderella story, fun. In the beginning, I don't think she knew what she was really in for, so she just, you know, just like there was nothing there. She just went down the center line and just did her job. But as success starts happening, you start feeling different things, and you feel the pressure, and you start to say, I never used to be nervous. Or she used to say, when we needed a certain score, she'd say, okay, let me know what they get, because then it'll give me an idea what I have to get. Last couple shows, she wasn't so excited to hear that. Because you're adding to your own pressure. But some people thrive on that. Some people really thrive on that kind of pressure. I was not one of those. But I had a lot of people telling me, get up and get your head in the game. And that kind of made me to where I am today, you know. Like I said, it doesn't matter what your goals are. It's in life in general. If you keep all those things in your head, you're going to have a lot better life and enjoy it a lot more. And you won't let people get to you, and that's the biggest part of this whole thing that we do. And in the world we live in today that can be so cruel with Facebook and things that go around, and you can just brush it off or choose to get off Facebook altogether. Don't let it get to you. So now, you guys ask me questions. That's my feeling about what it takes to really get to where you want to go. Of course, we all need a super horse, and those are the things we all know we need, but it's not just the horse that gets you there, trust me. It's not. People have gotten there with pretty average horses, with just really not giving up and just saying, you know what, not yet, not giving up yet. There's still time. Yes.
So you talked about fitness, additional fitness.
Oh, yes,
training.
yes.
What would you recommend, or what's your program or regime?
At this moment when my back's out, not a damn thing except a good stiff drink. No, that's not true. Well, it is true, but that's not what you do. Actually, I don't know. I mean, there's so many avenues that way. Everybody that I seem to be working with right now are just crazy with this Orange Theory. Then they do this Pilates thing, and then they do a yoga class, and then they go to the gym. And I'm thinking, okay, well, where do you even find the energy for that? I mean, not all in the same day, trust me, but nonetheless, after you've worked all day long to make even just mentally, I can tell you, at the end of the day, even though I can sit on my ass all day and teach, I am exhausted when I get home. And I'm the first one to tell you, I'm not real religious about it either. But I've got to try it because I'm not young anymore, and so I have to really think about it. But it is true. You really do need to keep the fitness level up. If you just want to say you look the picture in the ring, it has to happen. And that's honest but truthful. And it's better for the horses.
So, we're so fortunate to have you now with your new position, and it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of time and a lot of energy, and you just came from 2 days of trainers conference, and now you're speaking to us. How do you foresee you being able to keep this level of commitment, involvement?
Myself personally, I think what keeps me going right now is my granddaughter. I get little video clips at least every other night, and she's at that stage where she's now walking and getting into trouble and things like that, and it's just really fun. But then my goal is to get through the year in a very successful way and spend 2 months in Idaho where I can be a grandma, hike, and that's what keeps me going, is I know there's a light there, and I know I'll have that time. But it is hard during the season here. There's no doubt. There really isn't downtime for us, for sure. Yes?
What kind of icing and poulticing and when? I mean, we've always had event horses, so you know the regiment for that. But when do you feel like the dressage horse needs that on a regular basis, and at what level and after what? And what's your?
I would say when you're getting into the FEI levels, for sure, most of those horses get iced right after they're hosed off and in the cross ties.
Every day?
Every single day.
And poultice too?
Not necessarily. It depends. If they're at a show and the ground and the footing is different, they poultice them. They even will put Magna paste in their feet just to draw out any inflammation, because the ground can get quite hard. Even though we're very fortunate. No, we don't ice their feet, but we do. We'll use the Magna paste in them sometimes just to draw out inflammation if there's any whatsoever. Because it's really funny that we have the most amazing footing here, but if anybody's ridden out in the national rings especially, they don't get drugged real regularly, and they get pretty darn hard. So, that, and then just, I would say any of the top horses, they probably just do it at shows just because, why not, Yes.
So you hear a lot of people talk about the mental aspect of being an athlete and going into competitions and things like that, and it's really popular now, I guess, to work with a coach, a specific mental
sports psychologist. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, and what are some of like the best mental strategies?
I totally think it's amazing because I've seen what it's done. I wished it had been around or talked about more when I was competing because I think it would have changed my life. But you can find some really amazing sports psychologists. I mean, Laura King, I think most of you probably have heard of Laura King's name from some of our athletes who see her very regularly, and she's amazing, and she can really make you think a little differently about that moment. You might tell her that you're having this almost anxiety attack, and she does a little bit with hypnosis, and it's not the kind like you pass out, but it gets you in a like a zone, and yeah, it's crazy. And I didn't believe that, but I'll tell you a story about that. We were in Europe in 2016 for the Rio Olympics. We had all rented a house. Well, the girls and I rented a house. I think it was a 6-bedroom house. And I got the downstairs bedroom because it had its own bathroom, and they like to treat the old lady pretty good. So I just told Robert, I said, God, I just can't get any sleep. And it stays light so late there too, which was just crazy. So he says, oh my God, I've got this thing, I'll send it to you, and when you get home, put your earphones in and just listen to her. Just see if you get a good sleep. So it was in the afternoon. I would say it was more early evening. I would say it was probably 6. And I went home. Nobody was home yet, and I put that in, and I'm laying there on the bed, and she starts saying, now, close your eyes. You're going to feel heavy. I'm going, yeah, right. And then now you're going to feel tingling in your hands. I don't feel anything. And then I woke up. But it was so freaky because I looked and it was light out still, and I thought, I slept 100 hours. Like, I couldn't believe how rested I was. And I ran out to the kitchen. I opened the curtains to see if the girls' cars were there, and they were, and I got really mad, and I said, they overslept. They should be feeding their horses. It's morning. I thought it was 7 in the morning, and it was 7 at night. And I yell up the staircase, and I go, Adrian, Casey, what are you guys doing? What do you mean, what are we doing? I said, you got to get to the barn and feed the horses. You overslept. Debbie, it's 7 o'clock at night. So I do believe in it, but it did kind of freak me out, so I didn't do it again. But I recommend it. So anyway, that kind of tells you it did work. And I was a non-believer, trust me. I'm not going to go to sleep. Anybody else? Anything in life you want to talk about? I'm more than happy to do that. Yes. Yeah.
So what's your secret? Seems like everyone who trains with you gets on the team.
I wouldn't, you know what, it's not me. They have wonderful horses. If anything, my nickname is Mama Deb. I mean, I'm just kind of the old lady that cheerleads them and sends them in the right direction. I would just say I really am a huge supporter. I believe in them. I'll do anything and be right there for them. And they're dedicated, and I think for me, it kind of, I didn't come from a lot of money, and I was a hardworking kid one day. And even though these girls have some really lovely horses, they're still that person inside. They, and people don't see it because some people don't choose to see it because they've had some fortunate situations where they've been sponsored. And it is a pity because if you really could spend a day with them, you'd be pretty impressed at how normal they are and how much they still love their horses. And so, I do it for those reasons too. Not everybody goes to the Olympic Games though. That was really kind of special.
Just your kids.
No, many other kids will go too. But I enjoy it. I love it, and I would say I'm just incredibly picky. If they don't do a good transition, I'll repeat it until they understand how it has to be for that show ring, or I'll say, okay, that was nice, that's a 7. We need an 8, we need an 8.5 or a 9. If it's doable, I'm very realistic. Laura, I expect to get 9s on almost everything. So, But no, but really, I just want to be there for them, and I want to be there for this country and try to keep pushing us up to the highest place we possibly can. And I just want to see more people, you know, syndicated. I would love to see people jump in and help some of our riders. I mean, that's the thing that gets me especially in the position I'm in now. I see it even more clearly than I did before. And that's, if you just took our riders, I guarantee we have better riders than any country. We do. They're just not horsed properly. Or they don't have like now everybody wants to buy foals because really it's the only way you can get into a horse in a realistic price. But then where do you keep them? If you live in California, you're going to pay board, you know, on a foal. That's expensive. So I keep wanting to reach out to the breeders out there and you know, let's try to work together as a country, and let's get some of these good riders out there with some lovely horses and let them bring them along. And they'll put the training in and, you know, and the board and the shoes, but they get the horse given to them at that point. And then you make a situation where, okay, if it doesn't work out, we'll sell it where it'll be like if it only be a 4th level horse or whatever, sell it, then move into the next one and try to build up relationships with the people we have in our own country. And even for that matter, when they buy it as a foal, that they will keep it until it's of the age you can break it and start doing something with it, so these people don't end up with board bills on horses that are basically should be living like horses in pastures and with other horses. And if they came with us, they'd be in stalls. So it's a challenge for us in this country, but again, here we go. We have a goal. I have a goal. Not going to give up on it yet. So for any of you that are breeders or you know of any breeders, send them my way. And for those of you in this room that would just like to help syndicate a rider that you know, maybe even your trainer, I'm going to tell you, it's an amazing ride. It's an amazing journey to be in a situation where you've got a great syndicate group, and it's a hoot. I mean, they have a great time. You can make your own logo and your own clothes, and you get to go to the shows with the horses. I mean, it's fun to watch them. And I would tell you, the majority are amateur riders that syndicate these horses for the riders because they love it. Maybe they think that to themselves they can't get there, but they'd love to still help somebody get there and enjoy the ride with them. And it's been really fun. And it's actually given some of these people that I know of for a fact that have come in that kind of just felt like they didn't have much purpose, now have just turned into be like, oh my God, this is so much fun, and you know, when's the next show? And yes, they come and watch the training sessions. So yeah, it really is, again, it's finding a place where you can be happy and pass along that to other people. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
As an instructor,
Mm-hmm.
Are there any tips you could give students to get the most out of a lesson?
Give me a scenario.
I'm speaking just very broadly.
Yeah, no, I know. No, you don't need name names, but give me an incident.
I didn't really have one.
You know, the way I look at it, I want whoever.
What would you like to see the student doing while you're, teaching? Or things to help?
I would say, and I don't know if this is even what you were talking about, but I would say when I'm teaching somebody and I'm putting my time and heart and soul into it, and if they choose to be argumentative or if they just choose to ignore, then I tell them, I take the C coach off and I say, thank you very much, but I have other people that would love to have my time. Haven't had to do it very often, but I don't have a problem doing that. Because that's being respectful. Whether you choose to take everything home, you just need to be a good student and you need to, shut up and listen, and you might learn something. So I would be very frank with them if that was a situation you came across. It makes them shape up real quick when you turn around and walk out. Anybody else? Yes.
Good question. We talk about our focus and our mental thought.
what do you do to get the horse mentally to that level?
The horse?
Yes.
You know, it's through the, I mean, obviously the training you're doing every day. I mean, that's the thing. You have to give 150% of your focus when you're on training, you know, and that's, I think some people, this is the dedication part as well, because when you are training, you can't be thinking about, oh yeah, I didn't go to the market. What are we going to have for dinner? And you have to stay so focused that your horse actually ends up becoming focused. Riding a certain way, bringing your horse to a calmer place through tempo, making them a little more through and over their back. I mean, you can really change the way a horse reacts to stress and excitement. And that's it.
It's just because of repetition and they know what to expect and the whole scenario that they're involved in. Do you think that's what brings them into that focus?
Yeah, and again, you know, all those things take time. You know, they take years.
It's a process.
To get a horse that would go in some of these environments we go into, you know, when we go over to Europe.
And is it different here versus
Oh, yes.
Why?
I mean,
Why?
they only see one arena here. They see one arena, global. It's not healthy. I'm fortunate. Trust me, I'm excited we have it. But these horses, when they go to Europe and they see a different world, it kind of rocks their world a little bit for a couple days, you know. You go to a show like Rotterdam and you walk through the woods and there's jumpers going here and you'll have a whole pony parade coming by you, and I mean it's insane.
Those horses are used to. That's the European horses because that's
They live with that. You don't go to shows and hear shh. Adrian was in one of her classes in the small ring and it started to rain. Do you think anybody cared about the horse in the ring? They just popped their umbrellas and she spun around. So
it really is a different
for sure. Oh, very much so. I mean, and I can think back to Normandy. You had to walk under this kind of like a bridge into this humongous stadium, and it was like, whoa. I mean, even the first day I walked in there, I went, holy crap, this is enormous. You know, a lot to look at. So yeah, you can't duplicate it here.
Right. And do you think their upbringing too is different than ours?
Anytime, the horses?
The horses, yes.
I don't think they get as much one-on-one with their riders. They're more of a tool to get somewhere for the majority of the people there, because they have unlimited resources of people that are willing to give them horses, because Isabel's never going to struggle. And nor will half of those riders. But I'm not saying that she is not that way with her horses, because she is. She's amazing. But I will say that, you kind of have to know that you start becoming one. You actually start to think about the same thing. You know, you can tell they're thinking, okay, I'm coming through. I know it's coming. I know passage is coming. And you're going, please just wait. Don't do it yet. You know, it's a constant, they know they want to please. And so you have to stay completely focused and try to find ways to keep their mind on you while they're knowing they're going to head off in passage any moment. So. Yeah, but they do. When you work that much with your horses, it's amazing how much they do think alike.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's a piece of advice for like a young professional trying to find their way in this industry? The one thing is I'm really trying to help promote the certification for trainers, because when you're young, you could be an amazing rider and you still could be an amazing coach, but you don't have enough years in yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And none of these kids your age have the years in, and it takes time. But I would suggest, keep educating yourself. Let your people see that you're not done learning. Go try to mentor with somebody. Ask if you can sit by them and watch them teach and see how they work their day. And Try to do it on, just tell your clients, sit, no lessons today, I'm going to go off and mentor with somebody. You know what I'm saying? But I think the more you show your willingness to want to continue your education and think, okay, now that I have a business, I'm just going to stay and try to train my students. No, don't. Really, really, really keep trying to educate yourself any way possible. It's so worth it.
Do you think at this point the U.S. breeders can compete with the European breeders?
Not in the numbers, for sure not. But good bloodlines, absolutely. Absolutely. There are some breeders that had a really lovely mare that's crooked-legged and over at the knee or whatever, and they breed it, and that's not so smart. You know, they want a baby out of it. You know, maybe she won't pass it over, but there's a good chance it could. So it's just their choices in breeding, and I would say, you know, just getting information out of the ones even from Europe that are successful, or even some of our breeders ourselves that have had some good success. Again, education. I think we can compete and make some lovely horses, and we have had some lovely American bred horses. But I think we'd have more if we could get the breeders on board to try to help, you know. But then there is a situation where they say, well, I can't let that horse go for that much money. I have X, Y, and Z in it. I get that, but do you want to promote your breeding by letting this one go for a little bit less so it can get out there and be seen, and then your name starts, you know. And then I think we do a better job of promoting our breeders, because I don't know that our breeders are that well represented in any kind of, you know, like even at horse shows or anything like that. It's just something I think we can do better, is to get, you know, those kind of thank yous out there. And yes.
Do we need some sort of breeding designation like FRH or something to help the breeders get recognized?
You know, I think that, to be honest, I'm not very well educated in the whole breeding anyway, but the ones I have met kind of are already in their line of whatever they're breeding, Hanoverian, whatever, and I think they have their ties there. But you would be able to answer that better than anyone. What is your thought on that? Just the, you know, breeders in general. And
I think there's a lot to to do to improve that. Like every horse show in Europe has the name of the breeder, the sire, and the dam.
Exactly.
So that you can do exactly like that. Because if you see that same R. Bengtsson, for instance, with 20 horses, well, maybe you pick up the phone and call Mr. R. Bengtsson.
That's right.
What do you have?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a small, like local, regional shows.
And it really wouldn't take that much for us to be able to do that, especially with our American bred horses, to just put a little perk out there for them if they're doing well. So, yes.
So many good things are happening thanks to you and everyone.
Oh, not me.
Well, in your yes, you know. Yes, and maybe we're on the cusp of, you know, better American-bred horse recognition.
I definitely think we can be and will be. I mean, if I have my say, I want it to happen.
Does USDF talk about trying to get more mainstream media coverage of competitions as they have in Europe?
USDF?
Yeah.
Probably not USDF. I think USEF is probably a little more specific to that. You know, Clip My Horse isn't going to probably come over and cover our shows, which is unfortunate, but it is the fact of life. So, but that's a great way to educate your eyes if you're a trainer or, you know, you're coaching people, is just get that membership for clipmyhorse.com and watch those shows over in Europe, and you'll see what a real extended trot looks like, and you'll see those horses going out there and doing it. It's then you would even see that the environment, what other environments are out there, you know. It's really good. It's really great to watch, for sure. Yes?
Do you think having something like the Bereiter and Master program that they have in Germany would benefit American training?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Seems like it would be difficult in such a large country.
Yeah. But I mean, there is talk. I mean, you know, we live in America. How do you tell somebody they can't hang a shingle out and become a coach? You can't. But all you can do is try to promote the ones that do, to make the other people realize that there's somebody here that's much more dedicated to having enough knowledge that they can pass on than somebody that just feels like they want to do horses in their life and they open a business. So that's why I say, if you are that person, and there's lots of young trainers out there, I think it's fantastic, but don't think that's it. You've got to keep working at education, for sure, any way you can. Just get in it. And yes?
What is your thoughts on the Young Horse Championships, both in the U.S. and in Europe, and then compared to like Top Sport CDI?
You know, it's certainly not for every horse, as you know. I think that we've gotten better about the judging here, but I still don't know that we're up to what the Europeans are with what they want to see in the young horse. I have no objection to the young horse, but one thing that makes me very sad is when people think that because it's going in the young horse program that they just ride them always in these huge gates, and they'll never have a chance to develop to be a Grand Prix horse, because if you don't start developing that a little earlier in their life, it just doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean you have to break them, but definitely teaching them little half steps and, you know, pirouette canters and things like that is, I think, pretty smart. But unfortunately, we see a lot of young horses that do well that we all just drool over when we watch the videos and never to be seen again. And that's just very sad. And I think that's probably because, well, not all of them are because they probably didn't hold up. Some of them go off to breeding, right? I mean, you know, that is a fact. But I'm sure there's several that just can't hold up and they break too early. So, I mean, it's not that I object to it at all if it's done with smart training.
Gotta have the goal in the sight. You know.
I'm sorry?
You gotta have the goal of Grand Prix in the sight, you know, thinking long term.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're just breeding people, they don't have that in their head. They just want to get the horse out there, show what kind of gaits, and then they use them for the stud fees and stuff. Or if it's a mare, they, you know, put 1 million babies in her and get 1 million out. But yeah. Don't get silent on me now. There has to be something you guys want to talk about.
Certification program.
Yeah?
I'm an old lady. I've been in
don't talk about that.
No, really. I've been around the horse world for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of certification programs come and go. None of them ever stick. None of them ever get nationalized. We don't seem to have the, I don't want to use the term guts, as a governing bodies in general, but how are we going to nationalize the certification program so that we can
We do have a certification program. USDF does have that certification program. And they get certified through all the levels all the way up to the Grand Prix. So there is. Maybe it's not as well publicized as it could be, or maybe it's the lack of coaches like myself not trying to push it more and get the word out there that that's what we really need as a country. But there really are programs out there. And I think they do continue to get better. Like with anything, I think there's always a learning process and a stage that you go through. But I think that they have dialed it in better. And I think it's great to say, I'm certified through Grand Prix to coach Grand Prix riders, you know. So I just think it's something we need in this country. Every other country has certification. They don't just hang shingles. You just can't. So there's no reason that we shouldn't try to make that happen for our country as well. Did I see somebody else put a hand over here? No?
No, she.
Oh.
So this is kind of a
I guess not necessarily a personal question. So when you rode, I think it was the 2005 World Cup on Brentina, and you did the freestyle?
The one in Vegas?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I actually, every time I see that, I get goosebumps, and the first time I saw it, I So up to then, it seemed like freestyles had been very classical music, especially the Europeans, and yours was so much fun. Like when you pee off to Brick House, like when I hear Brick House, I think of Brentina. What made you choose that? What made you break out from the...
I had a Gershwin piece that I used for a very long time in her early career, and did very well with it. But there were so many situations where the mayor didn't really get the placing that she deserved, and I felt she wasn't respected. And I was getting towards thinking that it was getting towards the end of my career, and I thought, you know what, screw it. I want to do something fun, and you know how you make something up in your head how you want it to be, like, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if, as I came down last center line, everybody stood up and clapped and sang, and so that was something I had in my head. And so Terry Gallo worked with me, and we got this whole piece together, and I got the word out a little bit, enough I think in the public, that it's okay if I come down last center line. If you get excited, please go ahead, clap, scream, holler, I don't care. And I said, and I don't even care if the mayor runs off, because this is about, I'm making a statement that this mayor was not respected like she should have been. And that was the whole reason respect came up. So there was a purpose behind that freestyle that ended up being amazing. So, I mean, yeah, I can't watch anymore because I just cry, but it's, yeah, that was a very, very special moment for sure.
So why do you think that it takes people to get to that point, to create these amazing compositions? Is it because it's too scary to do it and you're trying to do it?
Do something that's not traditional?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Well,
the freestyles...
When people aren't traditional, that's when they create these amazing moments that are off the chart.
I think now it's always going to be just a little bit more difficult now with all these rules changing in the freestyle. You have to have your floor pattern out there and stuff, and it does make it a little more complicated. And I think they just, if they really want to try it, they should. I mean, you'd be surprised. They did make a rule though, after Fuego at the WEG, that they can't. Isn't that right, Charlotte? Yeah. That they can't, nobody can, the rider can encourage it, cannot encourage it. If people chose to do it, they couldn't yell at the people. But they say the rider can no longer encourage people to get involved. And that for me is kind of sad, because I think that would bring more people into our sport. If you could share it with the world and say, oh my God, I could see it today on USA Today. Look at this horse dancing and look at the crowd going crazy, But we stay a little too like, and I mean, I'd be all for it. I really would. That was fun. I think it would help our sport if we could get fun like that. But now, mind you, not every horse can handle that. And that would be a pity to blow somebody's chances of winning a World Cup just by screaming and hollering.
What is your opinion of the DOD floor plan?
I don't know that I've witnessed it long enough to have a real opinion about it. I know that you really have to think about it, because you don't have any fake lines anymore, like, let's go back and redo those. I was supposed to do pirouettes here, but now I'm going to ride my twos again. So there really isn't that. So it's tough. And then everybody now is analyzing, how many points more you get for a double pirouette or a fan, or changes on a curved line versus a straight line. And it's like, oh my God, it's just so crazy. But I don't know. I think we'll know in another couple of years if we really think it helped or didn't help at all. I think it was changed more for the judges, they say.
They have been using it in Europe longer than we've experienced it here.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. But for me, I don't know that I have an opinion yet. And we didn't get to try it at WEG, so I know. Anybody else? Yes.
Getting back to the mental aspect.
Yes. The whole reason I'm here, right?
In your current life or in the past, what did you do for dealing with pressure?
Imodium. That's no lie either. I had so much Imodium in my tack trunk that if anybody had an upset stomach, they just came to Debbie's tack box. Once I was on the horse, I was fine. But I mean, if some of those shows that our classes were at midnight, oh my Lord, I don't even know how I was strong enough. Everything was out of my system by then, and it was just not. It was stressful, really stressful. But when I was on her, then you go, okay, I know what I've got, but you don't know what you got that day. With horses, you never know what you're going to get, right? So it's just that buildup that got to me. And then I see these girls, eating hot dogs and hamburger. Not really. And I just go, how do you do it? Because we're hungry. But that would not have lasted 5 seconds in my stomach. But Klaus always carried bananas because they're supposed to help you when you feel like you're going to faint. He'd give me a banana. So, yeah, a lot of little tricks in the trade there. Some fun times. Well?
Do you have a favorite training book or person or something that you go to as for inspiration or when you're solving problems, looking for input?
No, not really. Not really. I do, though, with my riders when we're at a big competition. I go online and I look for some proper or appropriate inspirational quotes to get them psyched up, and I'll pass them all to them the night before they compete, and just to pump them up a little bit. So I do that, but no, not really. I'm inspired every day, actually. I'm pretty lucky.
What about horse like Steinbreck or Klimke, or there's no one that you think of as a special reference?
Klaus Balkenhol for me, because he really was so genuine. He loves his horses. His house was designed so he could walk out from his house into his barn, and the minute that door would open, they'd scream and holler. And he's fair. Everything I ever witnessed from Klaus when he was training horses was fair. He knew how to heat one up, but never make him afraid. And he knew he read it so beautifully, like he knew exactly the moment to stop. He never would push a horse beyond what it mentally could handle. And I think that is something that not enough of people can recognize still in horses. And it's sad, because that makes them become great horses or hate their job. Anybody else? It's a wrap? Thank you guys for showing up.